Hello, my name is Sutlak. Before we start today's podcast, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. Today's topic is Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769 to 1821, was a French general and politician from Corsica. He ruled as Emperor of France from 1804 to 1814, and again in 1815 with the title of Napoleon I. After Charlemagne, he built the largest empire in Europe. Wars, 1803 to 1815, caused destruction, but he also brought liberal reforms to the lands he conquered. Napoleon was born into a noble family in Corsica. During the French Revolutionary Wars, 1792 to 1802, he rose quickly in the army and became commander in Italy and Egypt. In 1799, after the coup of 18 Brumaire, he took control of the French Republic. In 1804, he declared himself Emperor of France. With his famous Grande Armée, he fought against many European coalitions. By the Treaty of Tilsit in 1807, his empire included most of Western and Central Europe. In 1812, his invasion of Russia failed. After that, many European countries opposed him. He was defeated and sent to exile on the island of Elba in 1814. The next year he returned to France and started the period known as the 100 Days. But he was defeated again at the Battle of Waterloo, the 18th of June 1815. Then he was exiled to St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he later died. Napoleon is remembered mostly for his military career. He fought in about 60 battles and lost only 7. He introduced new military ideas, such as conscription and the corps system, and created new tactics. He is often compared to Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar as one of history's greatest generals. He also introduced the Napoleonic Code, a set of civil laws that influenced many modern nations. Napoleon is seen as a reformer, a ruler, a warrior, and sometimes a defender of freedom. He remains one of the most famous figures in Western history. Napoleon Bonaparte, the future Emperor of France, was born on the 15th of August 1769 in the city of Ajaccio on the island of Corsica, with the name Napoleon di Buonaparte. The Buonaparte family was of Italian origin. They moved to Corsica, which belonged to France, in 1529 and became part of the small noble families there. Napoleon's father, Carlo Buonaparte, was a lawyer. He was rich enough to own a 3-floor house in Ajaccio, Casa Buonaparte, a country house, a vineyard, and a flock of sheep. Napoleon was the second surviving child of Carlo and Maria Letizia Buonaparte. He had an older brother named Joseph, and younger siblings called Lucien, Eliza, Louis, Pauline, Caroline, and Jerome. Corsica had been under the control of the Republic of Genoa for centuries, but the island was allowed to manage its own local affairs. In 1768, Genoa sold Corsica to the Kingdom of France, which wanted stronger control. The people of Corsica resisted this change. Under the leadership of Pasquale Paoli, Corsican freedom fighters fought against the French army. In May 1769, at the Battle of Ponte Novo, the French defeated Paoli's forces. At first, Napoleon's father Carlo supported Corsican independence. But after the defeat, he swore loyalty to the French rulers. In return, the new French government gave the Buonaparte family new titles and rewards. Napoleon's father, Carlo Buonaparte, died in February 1784. 2 years later, Napoleon graduated from the prestigious École Militaire as a lieutenant of artillery. After graduation, he spent most of his time on leave in Corsica. Napoleon and his brothers strongly supported the spirit of the French Revolution, which began in 1789. In April 1792, Napoleon became a lieutenant colonel in the Revolutionary National Guard. The Buonaparte brothers' support for the French government caused conflict with the movement of Pasquale Paoli, who defended Corsican independence. Tension between the Buonaparte family and Paoli's followers grew quickly. Napoleon was finally sent into exile from his homeland. From that time, he was no longer a Corsican nationalist, but a revolutionary devoted to the cause of France. In the spring of 1792, revolutionary France started a war with Austria and Prussia. This began the Revolutionary Wars. After the French victory at the Battle of Valmy, the 20th of September 1792, the First French Republic was declared. King Louis XVI was executed by guillotine on the 21st of January 1793. As the Republic became more radical and aggressive, other countries also joined the war against France. Great Britain, Spain, and the Dutch Republic declared war. On the 28th of August 1793, a fleet of British and Spanish ships occupied Toulon harbour, which was very important because it held the French Mediterranean fleet. At this time, Napoleon published a Jacobin pamphlet called La Soupe de Beaucaire, supporting the government's strong measures. This work impressed many leaders, and Napoleon was appointed commander of French artillery during the siege of Toulon. He showed great leadership, and his cannons were key to the French victory on the 19th of December 1793. Even though he was wounded in the final attack, he was promoted to brigadier general at only 24 years old. The Reign of Terror ended in July 1794, and the Jacobins lost power. Napoleon was arrested for a short time but later released. With his supporters gone, his career seemed uncertain. But in October 1795, when royalists tried to attack Paris, Napoleon was one of the few skilled officers in the city. He took command and defended the capital with harsh efficiency, using artillery against the crowds. By crushing the 13 Vendémiaire uprising, Napoleon gained the attention of Paul Barras, a leader of the new government called the Directory. In 1795, Barras introduced Napoleon to Josephine de Beauharnais, a 32-year-old widow. Napoleon quickly fell in love with her. Barras also helped Napoleon become commander of the French army in Italy. On the 9th of March 1796, just 2 days before leaving for Italy, Napoleon married Josephine in a formal ceremony. From this time, his name was recorded in French as Napoleon Bonaparte. When Napoleon first arrived in Italy as a young commander, many officers did not take him seriously. He was short, thin, only 26 years old, and had no experience leading an army. But their opinion soon changed. Napoleon organized the undisciplined Italian army, supplied it with what it needed, and quickly launched a campaign against the Kingdom of Piedmont-Sardinia, winning in just 1 month. He then marched against Austria, captured Milan, and created several pro-French states in northern Italy. Napoleon continued the siege of Mantova, and defeated Austrian forces at the Battle of Castiglione, the 5th of August 1796, the Battle of Arcole, the 15th to the 17th of November 1796, and the Battle of Rivoli, the 14th to the 15th of January 1797. When Mantova finally fell in February 1797, Napoleon's army prepared to threaten Vienna. Austria asked for peace, and in October signed the Treaty of Campo Formio, ending the War of the First Coalition. Napoleon's brilliant victory in the Italian campaign won him the love of the French soldiers, who kindly called him the Little Corporal. At the same time, he became a political superstar in France. Stories like his heroic attack at the Bridge of Arcole made him famous and created the beginning of the Napoleon legend. In 1798, Napoleon received permission to send an army to Egypt to challenge British power in the region. After defeating the Mamluks at the Battle of the Pyramids, the 21st of July, he moved towards Syria. But during the siege of Acre, the 20th of March the 21st of May, he was stopped by British and Ottoman forces. In August 1799, he had to retreat to Alexandria and later escaped from Egypt. Although the Egyptian and Syrian campaigns ended in military failure, the discovery of the Rosetta Stone led to great progress in the study of Egyptology. In October 1799, Napoleon returned from exile to France. Some politicians, like Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, who were unhappy with the government, wanted to use him as a sword for a coup. Napoleon accepted the plan, and on the 9th to the 10th of November 1799, he carried out the bloodless coup of 18 Brumaire, overthrowing the government. Soon after, he pushed Sieyès aside and became the leading figure of the new executive body called the French Consulate, Consulat Français. His rise to power marked the end of the French Revolution and the beginning of the Napoleonic era in France. Napoleon's time as first consul lasted 4 years. During this period, he achieved some of his longest political successes. He made peace between France and the Catholic Church by negotiating the Concordat of 1801. He also introduced the Napoleonic Code, which included several liberal reforms from the Revolution. Napoleon sent an army to Haiti to take back the colony and restore slavery. The mission failed, and Haiti became independent in 1804. As first consul, Napoleon also began the Louisiana Purchase, which doubled the size of the United States. In the military field, he crossed the Alps and defeated Austrian forces at the Battle of Marengo, the 14th of June 1800. 2 years later, the Treaty of Amiens ended the Revolutionary Wars. Meanwhile, a public vote gave him the title of First Consul for life. Napoleon knew that the new regime would not be safe unless he created a hereditary empire. On the 18th of May 1804, he declared himself Emperor of France. His coronation took place on the 2nd of December in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, where Napoleon took the crown and placed it on his own head. By this time, Britain had already declared war on France in May 1803, and the Napoleonic Wars had begun. After being crowned Emperor of France and later King of Italy in early 1805, Napoleon faced the War of the Third Coalition, 1805 to 1806. Britain was joined by Austria, Russia, and Naples against France. As emperor, Napoleon led his Grande Armée, which was divided into 8 semi-independent corps to move faster and more flexibly. Without losing time, he marched into Germany. The corps system proved to be very effective, and it helped Napoleon force the Austrian army to surrender during the Ulm campaign. On the 13th of November, he captured Vienna, and after Austria's defeat, considered one of his greatest victories, he reorganized several German states under his protection as the Confederation of the Rhine. This reorganization led directly to the end of the Holy Roman Empire in July 1806. Napoleon also removed the Bourbon King of Naples and placed his brother Joseph on the throne. His brother Louis Bonaparte became King of Holland in 1806, and another brother, Jerome, became King of Westphalia in 1807. By giving so much power to brothers who often lacked the necessary ability, Napoleon was criticized for trying to build a dynasty without strong leadership. In October 1806, Prussia joined the Fourth Coalition War, 1806 to 1807, together with Russia and Britain. Under Napoleon's command, the French army defeated the Prussians at the Battle of Jena Auerstedt, the 14th of October, and entered Berlin only a few days later. Napoleon then moved into Poland, which was under Prussian control. Before fighting the bloody Battle of Ely, the 7th to the 8th of February 1807, against Russia, he created a new dependent state called the Duchy of Warsaw. On the 14th of June, at the Battle of Friedland, Napoleon defeated the Russian army. After this, he met Tsar Alexander I of Russia, 1801 to 1825, on a raft in the middle of the Niemen River to discuss peace. The following treaties of Tilsit established a French-Russian alliance. Tsar Alexander agreed to join Napoleon's continental system, a large trade embargo against Britain. At the same time, Prussia lost about half of its territory. This period is seen as the peak of Napoleon's power, when his influence spread across most of Western and Central Europe. In 1807, Emperor Napoleon ordered the punishment of Portugal because it did not follow the continental system, his trade blockade. The capital city Lisbon quickly fell, but Napoleon was not satisfied. Always looking for opportunities, he used a conflict inside the Spanish royal family to invade Spain and place his brother Joseph on the Spanish throne. The Portuguese and Spanish people resisted the French occupation, starting the Peninsular War, 1807 to 1814. With the help of British forces, they organized a strong resistance, which included brutal guerrilla warfare. Soon, the advance of 200,000 French soldiers was stopped, and this situation put heavy pressure on French military resources. The success of the Iberian rebels encouraged the Austrian Empire to start the Fifth Coalition War in April 1809. At the Battle of Aspern-Essling, the 21st to the 22nd of May, Napoleon suffered his first defeat as emperor. Although he later won at the Battle of Wagram, the 5th to the 6th of July, Aspern-Essling showed Europe that Napoleon could also be defeated. After the Austrian War, in April 1810, Napoleon married Marie-Louise, daughter of the Habsburg Emperor. He had divorced Josephine the year before because she had not given him an heir. On the 20th of March 1811, Marie-Louise gave birth to a son, Napoleon II, called the King of Rome. By 1811, France and Russia were on a path to conflict. Russia saw the Duchy of Warsaw as a threat, while Napoleon felt betrayed because Tsar Alexander I left the continental system. On the 24th of June 1812, Napoleon began the invasion of Russia with more than 615,000 soldiers, the largest army Europe had ever seen. The Russians retreated into their territory, using scorched earth tactics. Before the first big battle, the French had already lost more than 100,000 men. On the 7th of September, the French and Russians fought the bloody Battle of Borodino, which opened the way to Moscow. A week later, Napoleon entered Moscow, but the city was empty and soon burned, making it useless for the French army. Realizing Russia would not make peace, Napoleon decided to retreat in October. The harsh winter and Russian attacks destroyed the Grande Armée. By December 1812, when the French crossed the Niemen River again, they had lost about 500,000 soldiers. On the 7th of September, the French and Russians fought the bloody Battle of Borodino, which opened the way to Moscow. A week later, Napoleon entered Moscow, but the city was empty and soon burned, making it useless for the French army. Realizing Russia would not make peace, Napoleon decided to retreat in October. The harsh winter and Russian attacks destroyed the Grande Armée. By December 1812, when the French crossed the Niemen River again, they had lost about 500,000 soldiers.